Chapter 7 of Mitchie's text addressed the topic of conflict between student and teacher with two examples, Mr. Shepard and Miss Riley. Discuss either or both of these conflicts and what could be done to address the issues as you see it from an outsider's perspective. I know you don't have all the details, but feel free to try and fill in the blanks with different possibilities.
Okay, well, I think in the case of Miss Riley, like she used the threat that she was going to quit to her kids, and then this little boy wrote her a note saying, just like that they really do care about her and like her a lot. And I guess she never even acknowledged it with him. I'd say at the very least, like, she should at least be like, thanks, that made me feel really good, and I hope you know
Or
that
even, I got your
care,
letter.
and say, like, I care about you too, Like, that's a student who it seems like she hasn't really connected with or, like, have an interest in saying we care about you, and she should take that opportunity to let him know that she cares about him too. And even though she just said, like, I'm going to quit, I'm going to walk out on you guys, she should let, like, you could even make it up and be like, I went home and was going to quit last night, and then I read your letter, so now I'm going to stay. Like, make that kid feel good.
A good thing to say, though? Like,
yeah,
tell them
I think it's.
I don't
think
you
even
should
be
say
said.
that in the first place.
Yeah,
but
that's what I was thinking. Like,
I don't think that that's a good threat, but, like, I'm saying the fact that she did say that, and then he came back at her with, like, no, please don't. She should have at least acknowledged the fact that she cares about him, too, and, she's not going to leave them. It seems like the next day she just came in and was like,
because he obviously cared to write her a
he cared
took
enough.
the time to do that.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then also he put, like, suggestions, like, let the children play and learn, like using flashcards, and gave her, like, you can get 4 people and one holds the card and the other 3. Like, she should at least try that. And if she tries it once with vocabulary words and it doesn't work or whatever, it's still going to make an impact on that kid. Like, okay, she heard what I said and she acknowledged it and she actually tried it. And then that's going to make him trust her more and be able to feel like he can be more open with her because she's actually going to, like, listen to him.
And that, like, his opinions matter or whatever.
Yeah, and that might be a way for him. That might be an easier way for him to learn. He's telling you.
Yeah.
It might actually work. You might take a suggestion from what are they, 7th and 8th grade, whatever. Yeah, it might work. Who knows?
Yeah.
You might, I think she had, like, a very negative outlook on it.
I think so.
Like, he's a kid. He really doesn't know, or, I really don't care about what he has to say type of thing. And I don't think that works in any situation with anybody, not just kids, with anybody.
Yeah.
They're taking their time because they don't want you to leave, and then you brush it off like it wasn't a big deal.
And I feel like she was what she was complaining about and upset about and stuff was like she was just overwhelmed and she felt like they're not listening to her. But the message that she sent back by not even acknowledging it is that she's not listening to them either. And if that was me, especially in 7th or 8th grade, I would have been like, all right, I'm done with you then. If you expect me to listen to you, but you're not even going to listen to me when I take the time to give you a suggestion and write you this letter, then I don't care anymore.
Especially in kindergarten, it's all about modeling,
Yeah.
We tell the kids all the time, respect is respect, responsibility, doing your best. We do the same thing. If you're if I'm not responding to you, you're taking the time out, to try and be nice to me, and I'm not giving you that respect back, then why should I expect that you're going to do the same for me after you already tried to put yourself out there?
Yeah. And it's kind of like the same thing then with Mr. Shepard and Ruby. Like, she really felt like he wasn't respecting her and listening to her. So it kind of seemed like she just felt like, why should I have to sit in this class and listen to him and respect him if he doesn't do the same to me? Right. And, like, he's always, I don't know, it seems, obviously we don't know, but it seemed like he just would, like, kick her out of the classroom.
Yeah.
And I feel like with something like that, if she's sitting there calling out or whatever, like,
pick on
maybe or just, like, stop the lesson one day and acknowledge, like, the behavior issues and what's going on in the class. And, like, he just seems so concerned with, like, he had to stick to schedule and, like, show the kids how much he knew and how smart he was, when, like, who knows if he would have just taken one day and been like, all right, we're not going to do this today. We're going to have a discussion about the way the class has been going, and if anyone thinks we could improve, like, me or you, then maybe it wouldn't have happened and it would have never even had to escalate to, like, sending her to the principal or whatever.
I think both of them were very close-minded about both situations. Like, It takes a simple. If she's calling out, she obviously wants to answer. She wants to participate. Just give her a quick raise your hand. If you raise your hand, I'll call on you, type of thing.
Yeah.
But it seemed like he kind of just ignored it and didn't approach the situation and thought the appropriate way to handle it would just be to kick her out. Like that was going to teach her something. Yeah. She already knew that the lady that she was getting sent to was easier on her. So obviously that's not working.
Or even like try different approaches. Like what I do when my kids, I always tell them they need to raise their hand, but then I do it too. That's like when I say something, I raise my hand, and then it works for them too because they look up, they're seeing that I'm doing that. And then you don't call on them if they're calling out. You just pick on someone else. And then I feel like when they do raise their hand, then you should call on them and acknowledge that
there's certain kids that like I have this one girl that literally calls out all the time, but like every once in a while she'll raise her hand and I'll be like, Alexandra, and then it's like I know that she gets it, because then she'll try to raise her hand like a couple more times right after that, and like she doesn't raise her hand every single time, but you have to keep trying. And I mean, there's days when I just want to say to her, like, get out of the classroom because I can't stand to hear you yell an answer one more time. But I know that that's not going to work. And it's not, she's going to come back an hour later or whatever and do the same thing.
Right.
And especially just, like, in both examples, just the respect thing. I don't know. I just feel like neither of the teachers handled it at all, like, in a respectful way. And, like, they're 5-year-olds for us and 7th and 8th graders in this book, but you have to respect them or they're not going to respect you.
I wanted to say something too, but now I forget. Like, it's definitely different in, kindergarten. We always are comparing our grades where my kids get so excited sometimes that they just want to call out. Yeah. And if you know the answer and they're that excited, then let them from time to time. Sometimes they need to just get it out of their system. Have a time where it's like, okay, you don't need to raise your hand. Yeah. And we're just gonna call out the answers.
Well, that works if you can control it too.
If you can control it, right?
Like I do that too sometimes, and I'm like, I'll expect like everyone to answer or like have kids call out, as long as like the teacher has it under control and it's not like a million people screaming out like
definitely
whatever they want. That does work too, though. I think.
I just think these teachers are like not being teachers.
Yeah,
I feel like they're so
then the fact
off
that
the track.
The fact that Mr. Shepard didn't even read her whole thing.
Yeah,
like
that's
like if you sent home homework or a letter to the student, you would expect them to read it or do the whole thing or finish it, whatever. If you sent home a 4-page paper, you would expect it to be 4 pages when you got it back. But how can he even ask his students to do that if he's not even going to do the same for them?
Yeah.
And, like, it just seems like neither of them even acknowledged to the students, like, I hear what you're saying. Like, even if he totally disagreed with what her essay said, he could have found one good thing in it.
Yeah.
And said to her, like, I read what you wrote, and I understand when you said this, just so that she knew in her head, like, okay, if I ever need to talk to him about anything else, I can write him a letter.
Or he could have said,
and I know that that'll work.
Or he could have been like, this doesn't work. Maybe we can try this and try to come up with like something that they both agree upon.
I mean, even if he didn't read the whole letter and he just said 1 or 2 things from like the first 2 pages,
right?
At least he's acknowledging. She knew that he at least looked at it. He took some time to, be respectful and responsible or
something.
Yeah. Alrighty. Good.